Welcome back, friends, to the class 7. In the first 6 classes, we have cleared the basic concepts of working capital. We have discussed why working capital is required in the business, what is operating cycle, how the operating cycle is calculated. So we are through with the basic concepts. Now, since we are going to work as a credit manager, or if you are doing work in any company who needs a finance from the banking institution, so you must know what are the basic loan documents that are required to take the loan for the business. So in this class, we will go through with these, with at least the names of these documents. What are those documents which we need to take for applying the loan? And later on in the coming series, we will explore each and every document in detail, how to analyze it, what to see in these documents, what to understand from these documents, that we will cover in the coming videos. So, coming to the loan documentation requirements, the first and foremost document is very basic, that is loan application form. You need not to have submit anything for this. This is the just bank's application format. You just have to fill it up and submit to the bank, right? This is loan application form. Then the next document is very important. It is called KYCs of borrowers and guarantors. By KYCs, we mean know your customer. What is the full form of KYC? Know your customer. So the bank need to know their customer. Who is applying for their loan? Where do they live? What is their PAN number? What is their date of birth? Who is their father name? Right? So bank want to know about their customer. So best way to know about the customer is starts with the government's identity proof. The identity proof, address proofs which are provided by the government are the starting point for this. So the borrower is the main entity who is taking the loan. If you are taking the housing loan in your name, then you are the borrower, right? If you are a company, a firm, and you are taking loan for your business, then the company or that firm is the borrower. And who are the guarantors? Guarantors we usually classify in two ways. First, the guarantors are usually the promoters of the business, who are main handler of the business, who are the main decision maker of the business. These are the guarantors taken by the bank. Second, guarantors are those who owns the property of the company, which is going to be mortgaged in the bank or as a provided as a security to the bank, right? The whatever security you are providing to the bank, whoever owns this security must provide guarantee for the facility taken against that security, right? So in KYC documents, we take the identity and address proof. Identity and address proof like PAN card, foremost, Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card contains address, although Aadhaar card can be accepted for identity as well, but there are two separate documents taken for the purpose of pulling the CIBIL accurately, PAN card and Aadhaar card basically, right? So the Aadhaar card have some digits and except for last 4 digits, all other digits are blacked out before submitting to the bank, so that there is no identity theft issue coming along in future. So identity and address proof, and this is for the individuals, and for the business we need to submit the business registration proof, whatever proof, government authorized proof that you have for certifying the existence of your business, like the GST registration certificate. Many people confuse it with the Udyam registration. Udyam registration is not your business identity proof or business registration proof. Udyam registration is very simple. It is just a self-declaration kind of system. It is not verified, not authorized kind of thing. So Udyam registration certificate is not a business registration proof, right? So business registration proof has to be a government issue, like a license, right? GST registration I have already told, like weight measurement receipts, right? If you have installed the weighing machine in your business. So these are kind of business proofs that are accepted, right? Now coming to the very critical documentation, that is the financials. The financial states what you earn, what you expense, what are your expenses, what are your earning, what are your assets, what are your liabilities. It helps in assessing the total you. Who are you? What worth you have? And is it worth giving loan to you? So financials are very important for this. So the first part is the audit report. If you are eligible for doing the tax audit, getting the tax audit done from a chartered accountant or any other agency, then the audit report of at least 3 years. And many banks have their different kind of policies. Some bank take for 2 years financials, some bank takes 3 years financials, right? It's maximum 3 years financials. So I have written for 3 years. Audit report for latest 3 completed years, you have to provide it to the bank. You need to provide the balance sheet and profit and loss account with all the annexures. Usually a basic mistake that I have seen in my career, that people are submitting the balance sheet, people are submitting the profit and loss account, but there are multiple annexures along with it, like sundry debtors list, sundry creditors list, advances list, and in multiple detailed explanatory notes in profit and loss account as well. So borrower tend to miss the submission of these documents to the banks at earlier stage, and later on bank demands the same from the borrower again, and that somehow result in wastage of time of your loan decisioning. So better you provide all the annexures along with balance sheet and profit and loss account in the first step itself, right? Then the important document is ITR, income tax return of borrower and guarantors of 3 years. The balance sheet and profit and loss account we are taking only for borrower, right? Audit report only for borrower. But ITRs we are also taking for guarantors also. ITRs helps in determining the ITRs helps banks in assessing the extra source of income. What are the income source? What other firms they have guarantors? What is their income worth? It helps in assessing the credit worthiness of guarantors as well, kind of, right? So the ITR of borrower and ITR of guarantors for 3 years. Then as per the case-to-case basis, the provisional and projected report on case-to-case basis can be submitted. Like we are sitting in January 2025 month, right? Whenever the October and May 2025 month starts, the financial year 31st March 2025 has ended, right? But most of the people have not got their financials ready by April or May. So instead of submitting the audited and completed authorized financials of financial year 24-25, they submit the provisional kind of rough financial estimated financials of financial year 2024 and 25. And projected financials are usually taken by the government banks, in which the borrower submits the future projections of their business. What are they going to do in 2026? How much turnover they will do? How much capital they will infuse? How much fixed assets they will add? So they provide projections that is usually submitted in the government banks, not in the private sector banks, since private sector banks are making the projections on their own. The below is class 9th that we will cover in the next videos. The next important document is the bank statement. You need to submit the bank statement to the lender. The bank statement is required of borrower only. Guarantors need not to submit their bank statement. The bank statement need to be of 6 months period, last 6 months, 6 completed months, friends, 6 completed months. You cannot submit the bank statement from 15th September to 15th March. Don't like that. You can submit only from 1st September to the 28th April, 31st March. The month should be completed month and it should be latest. So last 6 months or last 12 months bank statement you need to submit to the banker. And the main point is which bank statement you need to submit. There are multiple bank statement you may have. You may have a CC cash credit account. You may have a overdraft account with another bank. You may have current account with another bank, right? So there is a one thumb rule. You have to submit the bank account statement of your all loan accounts, whether it's cash credit, overdraft, packing credit. These are mandatory to submit, right? After submitting these, if these statements does not cover at least 80% of your business transactions, because in bank statement you receive payments from your customers, you make payment to your suppliers, and if 80% of the business transactions from customer suppliers are not reflected in the submitted bank statement, and it is being done partially in some other bank account, then you need to submit that account statement as well for the given period, right? Understood? Along with the bank statement, you also need to submit the loan account statement, that term loans that you are running with another bankers, which need to be taken over by the new banker, usually taken over by the new banker, or sometimes some banks ask for even if they are not taking over the loans, still they ask for the track and statement of accounts of the running term loan that you, housing loan, LAP, machinery term loan that you have with other banks in order to check your repayment track, check your outstanding, check the balance turnover, etc., that we will discuss in coming videos, right? So this you need to submit in banking column. Then next thing that you need to submit is the GST and sales data. GST and sales data is basically bank want to assess your month-wise performance. So last 12 months sales details that you have filed with the government authorities, that need to be submitted to the bank. A copy of this need to be submitted to the bank, right? Don't forget the things that you have filed with the government. And now you will say, sir, my business is exempt from any filing requirement. I am running an agriculture business. It is exempt from filing anything with the government. No GST is filed. We are exempt from GST. What we will do in this case? In such a cases, bank will ask for 12 months sale data, 12 months sales data on your letterhead. On your letterhead. So better keep it ready in the first place itself, right? So I missed one point here. The KYCs of borrower and guarantors need to be properly self-attested, right? Self-attestation need to be done on individual KYCs, and for the business KYC, the business registration proof, you need to sign, authorized signatory need to sign and also put up a stamp. Along with this, the relationship manager of the bank, relationship manager of the bank who is representing the bank, who is meeting you, also need to do the OSV on these KYCs. What do you mean by OSV? OSV means originally seen and verified. He will write OSV done along with his signature and employee ID, right? This is mandatory to be done in many banks. What is the purpose of OSV? You are submitting the identity proof. Know your customer guidelines you are following. You are submitting your identity proofs. But you are submitting a copy only to the banks, and that copy could be fake, right? So the bank need a guarantee for a from a responsible employee that he has seen the original documents and he has tallied the copies with these original documents and these are okay. So that is why OSV confirmation is taken. Balance sheet, profit and loss account, again need not to say, these need to be properly signed by the promoters whoever they are, their proprietor or partners, directors, whatever the authorized signatory are, they need to sign this report. If audit is applicable, then CA also need to sign and stamp the balance sheet, and in the balance sheet the CA must mention their UDIN number. UDIN number query is raised in many cases. UDIN number is not mentioned by the chartered accountants in their audit reports. What is UDIN number? That we will cover in the coming videos. So that need to be mentioned, and as a credit analyst, credit manager, you need to ensure that this is duly mentioned in the balance sheet. The next up is the property documents. That is very simple. The property that you are proposing as a security to the bank, you need to submit a copy of its registry title deeds, so that bank can initiate the legal verification, bank can initiate the property valuations with its technical team. So for that purpose, they need the copy of property documents at the time of loan application. So you need to submit that. And other documents are case-to-case basis, bank-to-bank basis, ledger accounts. Sometimes if you are dealing with the one single party for purchase or sale, then you have your business is too much dependent on one supplier or one customer, or you have multiple group concerns and there are many transactions undergoing with the for loans and advances, sales and purchase with group concerns, and bank is not able to ascertain what is the total amount of sales you have done, what is the total amount of purchase you have done, what is the total amount of loan you have given, what is the total amount of loan you have taken from that firm. So they may need the ledger accounts of these transactions if they have any suspicion, any doubt. So you need to submit that ledger accounts as well. So one thing again I missed, in the KYCs, if you have any group concerns, immediate group concerns or sister concerns, then you have to submit the KYCs of that also, since bank will run its CIBIL check on that, right? Ledger accounts I have covered. Now additional thing is, if you are taking cash credit limit, that is drawing power backed limit, don't worry, drawing power we will cover in detail in coming videos. So you need to submit the last 6 months data of stock, debtors and creditors, so that bank can assess their movement and bank can ascertain what is your working capital requirement actually, from this data, right? We also call it drawing power data, DP data. Some banks call it CC data, cash credit data. It may have different name, but just remember last 6 months figures of stock, debtors and creditors at every month end. Like we are sitting in January 2025, so we will need to have 6 months data of as on 31st July 25, what was the figure of stock, debtors and creditors. As on 31st August, 24, what was the figure of stock, debtors and creditors, like that at end of the every month for last 6 months. Some bank may take for 12 months also, so you just adjust accordingly whatever your bank needs. And the last thing is the net worth certificates. Net worth certificates, obviously bank is giving you a loan, bank wants to know what is your net worth actually, so you need to submit the net worth statement. That can be self-certified or that can be a CA certified net worth statement also. I would recommend that you prepare a CA certified net worth statement, and if you are a banker watching this video, then it is very safe if you take a CA certified net worth statement instead of self-certified net worth statement. How to study net worth statement, that is a separate discussion part we will cover in coming videos.